Embajador Remo Moretta, embajador de Australia en México, ¿cómo está?
Muy bien, gracias. ¿Y usted?
Bien, gracias, embajador. Gracias por este tiempo. Si está de acuerdo, vamos a comenzar las preguntas. In English, okay? It's okay?
Okay.
Ambassador Remo Moretta, how is the relationship between Australia and Mexico?
Australia and Mexico are really good friends, and our bilateral relationship is very strong economically, politically, geostrategically. There is mutual respect between our two people and democratic systems. We're unique amongst the world because we belong to almost every organisation together. We are in the OECD, we're in the UN, the APEC Forum, the G20, the World Trade Organization. We are part of the Comprehensive and Progressive Trans-Pacific Partnership Agreement, the Pacific Alliance, MICTA. It goes on and on and on. So we have much in common and many shared interests. Commercially, we have a very strong relationship, and the foundation for this is, of course, the CPTPP, the Tratado de Libre Comercio, por sus siglas en inglés. And over the past 5 years, we have seen growth on services and goods trade by at least 2% a year. And now Australia is the 8th largest investor in the Mexican economy in sectors like energy and infrastructure and mining and METS, commercial and manufacturing, commercial properties and real estate. So we really do have a very significant presence in the Mexican market. I think culturally, we have strong people-to-people links. Recently, the Australian Embassy completed a social media campaign, and we called it Aussies in Mexico and Mexicans in Australia. And what we've been doing is identifying people, Australians here in Mexico, doing wonderful things, and Mexicans in Australia doing wonderful things. And we identify these people and we showcase how we can mutually benefit from an interchange of people in our two countries. There are over 2,400 Mexican students in Australia, and we have a number of different interests to collaborate with Mexico in the education space as well. So the relationship, whether it's economically, politically, or geostrategically, is very, very strong.
Wow. In which sectors are you collaborating, and in which sectors would you like to increase collaboration?
First of all, let's talk about, in terms of sectors in the economy, I think I've just mentioned those where we are involved in energy and infrastructure, toll road building, commercial real estate property. But when it comes to collaboration with Mexico, we are collaborating at the multilateral level in the World Trade Organization. We have the ministerial conference coming up, MC12, very, very soon. We are trying to work with Mexico and other partners to forge an agenda that for reform, especially in the agriculture sector, but not exclusively in the agriculture sector. We're working very well together in the OECD. We're also working in the UN, especially now that Mexico is part of the UN Security Council. We have a number of challenges. We're working with Mexico in the G20. So it's not just sectors of the economy, but also in multilateral and regional fora that we're actually cooperating with Mexico.
Is there any progress towards Australia becoming a Pacific Alliance associated state?
Well, look, to speak honestly, while good progress has been made in Australia's free trade agreement negotiations with the Pacific Alliance, these negotiations have been on hold since 2020, partly due to the pandemic, COVID-19, but also pending resolution of a number of sensitive issues amongst the Pacific Alliance partners. Most, but not all of these have been resolved, and officials will meet in coming months to review prospects for a resumption of negotiations. We certainly remain committed to concluding a high-quality agreement with the Pacific Alliance.
¿Hay algunos sectores sensibles?
Mira, cuando se trata de los tratados de libre comercio, el sector agrícola es siempre uno de los más difíciles. Pero no solamente sino también las reglas en el acuerdo también, la propiedad intelectual, o podría ser government procurement, o podría ser los aranceles, la eliminación de los aranceles. Son muy difíciles a veces.
Muy complicado, ¿verdad?
Sí.
Mm-hmm. Muy bien. What do you think about Singapore being the first associated state of the Pacific Alliance? In your opinion, how it benefit the member states of the alliance?
Sí. Australia, look, we congratulate the Pacific Alliance and Singapore on the signing of a free trade agreement in January of this year. the conclusion of a high-quality, ambitious agreement with Singapore, a country at the heart of the economy's most dynamic region, can only bring benefits to Mexico and other members of the Pacific Alliance in terms of market access for goods and services, the attraction of foreign investment, and facilitating global supply chains. Australia and Singapore signed a bilateral free trade agreement in 2003. And Singapore is Australia's largest trade and investment partner in Southeast Asia. So we welcome Singapore's entry into the Pacific Alliance. Es un país que tiene una economía muy estratégicamente importante, abierto, transparente, con reglas que funcionan muy bien. Es por eso que es importante que tenemos como socio Singapur en la Alianza del Pacífico.
Ya cuando ustedes entren como Australia, pues mejor, ¿no?
Esperamos que podamos progresar nuestros intereses para avanzar nuestros negocios y negociaciones este año.
Ay, ojalá. ¿Y what opportunities exist for business in Australia?
Well, for Mexican business in Australia, we would argue, first of all, let me comment that Australian businesses, they know the Mexican economy really well. They have a big presence here. They know that this is a great investment destination. But I don't think the reverse is actually true. I don't think a lot of Mexican companies know the value of investing in the Australian economy and the strategic benefits that investing in an economy like Australia would bring for launching Mexican companies' interests into Southeast Asia. We are a stable, well-regulated, transparent, open market with a highly functioning rules-based system. So we would welcome Mexican investment in the Australian economy. But in terms of this part of the world, our interests, our economic interests are growing. And we believe that through greater economic integration and ongoing implementation of el Tratado de Libre Comercio y Transpacífico, la Alianza del Pacífico, there are real opportunities to economically integrate Latin America and to forge alliances with countries like Australia in the Indo-Pacific region.
If you agree, we will watch the video that you sent us.
Welcome to Australia, where you're always welcome to embrace our lifestyle while you learn from the best and the brightest, where innovative ideas and clever collaborations are always welcome, where you're welcome to join our world-class institutions and all they have to offer in the most unique classrooms on the planet. Welcome to new adventures, near and far, where you're welcome to thrive, to explore your limits, as you set off on a journey towards making your dreams and aspirations a brilliant reality. Australia, welcome.
From global context, does what's it happening in Russia, Ukraine impact Australia?
Yeah. Firstly, and like Mexico, Australia condemns Russia's unprovoked, unjust and illegal invasion of Ukraine. The invasion is a gross violation of international law, including the Charter of the United Nations. Australia strongly supports Ukraine's sovereignty and territorial integrity. We call on Russia to immediately withdraw its forces from Ukrainian territory, consistent with legally binding decision of the International Court of Justice on 16 March. We support ongoing peace talks and all efforts to cease hostilities and end the war. Russia's invasions are cause for concern for all nations and its impacts are far-ranging. That is why Australia has been working with partners to hold Russia accountable, including by supporting the International Criminal Court's investigation into the situation in Ukraine, as well as through various UN institutions. Australia has imposed far-reaching sanctions to inflict heavy costs on those responsible. We have listed 812 individuals and 47 entities for targeted financial sanctions and travel bans. It's really important to understand about the cost of this war on the world. This is not just some faraway event that is happening too far for it to be a concern to Mexico or too far for it to be a concern to Australia. It is a concern to Mexico. It's a concern to Australia. It's a concern to all countries. Its global economic impact is heavy. especially the stress that it's putting on international supply chains. We know we don't need to just look at wheat, but we can also look at other products, especially energy supply and the strains that are being put on global energy supply. This is something that should be a preoccupation for all democratic, rules-based countries in the world.
Sí, debería ser. Embajador Arnulfo R. Gómez, experto en comercio internacional, me comentó que Australia es el principal, pues digamos, o tiene una potencia agrícola muy importante a nivel mundial. ¿Cómo está eso?
Cuando se trata del sector agrícola, se trata de solamente 4 o más o menos 4% del Producto Interno Bruto, pero cuando se trata de exportaciones es casi 40%. Entonces, para nosotros es muy importante. Exportamos mucho grano, cebada. Entonces, yo quiero decir que México ahora es el más grande importador de cebada de Australia para las cervezas. Entonces, estamos ayudando a México con su sector de cervezas, que es económicamente muy importante para México. En la cebada, exportaciones de cebada es muy importante para nosotros. Entonces, es por eso que tenemos una alianza muy, muy fuerte con México, porque tenemos la complementariedad de nuestras economías y intereses.
Perfecto. ¿Algo más que desea agregar, embajador Remo Moretta, embajador de Australia en México?
Just to say that in the time that I have been ambassador here for 2 years, I have really developed a very close friendship with Mexico. Me encanta el patrimonio cultural, la historia. La economía de México es grande, es importante, estratégicamente importante como socio, un partner por Australia. Tenemos muchos intereses en común. Estamos colaborando y cooperando con México. Es verdaderamente un honor, un placer para mí poder estar aquí como embajador representante de mi orgulloso país.
Creo que la adhesión de Australia a la Alianza del Pacífico, pues, incrementa más la relación, ¿o cómo es?
Sí, yo creo que sí, porque ya tenemos un tratado de libre comercio con México, que es el CPTPP, por sus siglas en inglés. Estamos comprometidos a continuar implementando este tratado de libre comercio con 11 países, pero al mismo tiempo tenemos una oportunidad de profundizar nuestros intereses en el sur de Latinoamérica también, con la Alianza del Pacífico, que es tan importante para nosotros también.
Si no sabemos todavía entonces la fecha, ¿serían negociaciones todos estos meses?
Yo no sé, yo creo que en los meses muy cercanos vamos a ver qué pasa con los próximas negociaciones. No tenemos una fecha particularmente, no específicamente en este momento.
Bueno, vamos a esperar, embajador Remo Moretta, embajador de Australia en México. Muchas gracias por esta entrevista y muchas gracias por este tiempo, tan interesantes respuestas. Le agradezco muchísimo y espero pronto volver a verlo.
Muchísimas gracias por su tiempo también. Que le vaya muy bien.
Gracias.